Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for playing with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. I could talk all day about twins. So anybody who actually wants to talk back to me, that's perfect.
That's perfect. Wait, how is your twin community in Sydney? Like, do you have like a big twin parenting group, or you're still kind of flying solo?
I would say I am flying solo a little bit. I definitely have met moms online, but as like a lot of twin moms know, like play dates in general are difficult. And then take like a bunch of twin moms who all like have more difficulty. Us getting together is almost impossible, I feel like. And unless they're right down the street, like I'm not probably going to do it. So unfortunately, I don't have like a strong community of twin moms. I have a lot of friends that are moms, but there is a difference. So I do wish that I had more like easily accessible friends who had twins in my area, but unfortunately I don't have that at the moment.
Oh, I'm sad now.
Yeah.
Well, I already was looking for
the online community is fantastic, right? Like I feel like there is no better online support community than the twin and multiple parenting community.
Amen,
I think
sister.
for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. I feel bad. I was just looking for an excuse to move to summertime right now, as we discussed right before we on. But yeah, you do. And I'm sad for you that you don't have a tighter one there. I mean, I do know that in Australia in general, they have a ginormous population of twin parents. So like you guys and us are it at the moment. And then I think it's followed by like South Africa after us, and then the Philippines.
Really? That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I wonder what affects that stat. Like that's super interesting to me. But I do see, I do see twins when I'm out and about in the city and stuff. There's a certain area of Sydney where I swear to God, every time I'm there, I see like 6 double prams. And I'm like, what is going on here? It's like a congested area of twins. So you're right. I do see them quite a bit.
That's it. You just have to go and say hi, because it is. I always joke that misery loves company, right? So it's nobody gets you better than other families of twins. And I definitely think that we're a different type of community than the singleton community because of that. It's a totally different ball game for us. And with that ball game, I really do like, we found you through your TikTok channel, which I absolutely love, which is when Katie met Harry, which is so cute. And clearly I'm a fan of the movie. That's not your name, but where it came from. But I love the way that you're representing twin families. And so when it comes to social media, you get parents who are very specific. And so you're really not afraid to hide some of the dirty stuff, especially like when it comes to things like screen time, which I think is great. Because Katie, what is wrong with the world of social media? Where do you think that we could do better as a community to make sure? Because I feel like sometimes you perpetuate this guilt that families have, and you're like, dude, this is how we're doing it. This is how I clean a house. This is how we roll.
I know. So it's been such an interesting journey, like sharing the motherhood thing. And because it's like, everyone that before the social media world, they had to deal with the mother-in-law making a comment, or sisters saying annoying things, or a friend thinks that they might do something better than you do, or whatever, and it's annoying. But then it's only a few people in your life, and sharing motherhood online is like having like a mother-in-law who disagrees with you, but like a million of them, basically. You know what I mean? And so it is interesting having doing that. And it's, if anything, it's made me want to be more honest, because I see how quickly the tides could turn on a mom who's doing something totally normal.
Yep.
And the online community could just come after her for that and say it's not normal. And I'm like, it makes me want to be even more honest and more normal. It doesn't make me want to hide. It makes me want to be like shouting at the rooftops, like, no, you're not a terrible mother if you do this. Like, people online are so quick to judge you, and they have so much bravery, right? Because they don't know you. They might not say that to your face, but they'll type it to you in a comment. So it makes me want to be more honest. And I think, like, I don't know how you feel about this. Do you have twins? I'm guessing you do.
I do.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. But So I'm guessing, or sorry, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like it's my duty as a twin parent because we have that next level of like, you can't tell us what to do because you've never walked in our shoes. And I almost feel like it's my duty to be like carrying the torch and be like, because no, like less people are going to judge what I do. So I'm willing to say, this is normal. This is what's going on in my house. This is how we get through the day. Not every day's nice. Like, some days we're just surviving. And I feel like I need to carry that torch. I do that for sleep. I do that for a lot. I'm totally willing to be the one to talk about it.
Well, you're doing a really great job, I have to say. So if nobody says that to you, I'll be the good mother-in-law today. And
yes.
I think it's great. I mean, I wish that all twin families that were out there weren't negatively impacted by, social media in general. When you were expecting, did you rely, like did you learn things from, all platforms? And what do you think that, how did you digest that? Because there's so many things coming at you as an expectant mom. And then once you found out that it was going to be twinnies, did you like immediately be like, we're going to dig in this way?
That was truly the reason I had any kind of mental calm about the entire having twins thing. I knew enough about pregnancy, delivery, like just in general to know it was like, I found out I was having twins at the ultrasound. And the first thought was, this is a miracle. The second thought was, oh my God, I'm terrified. I'm going to gain. Like, I was so scared of my body managing that. And this is all happens in like 10 seconds. You have these thoughts like boom, boom, boom. And the third thought was, oh no, I'm going to have a C-section, which really scared me. And the fourth thought was, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. So the third thought was, oh my God, I'm so scared I'm going to have a C-section. And then the fourth thought was obviously, I don't know anyone who has twins. I don't know how to do this. I really don't know how to do this. Yeah. I have no clue what I'm doing. And so it was like one amazing thought. And then the unraveling of I don't know. And I'm scared and I'm alone and I don't have a village that can help me with this. I don't know anyone who has twins. So I think for me, it was almost instantaneously. It was like searching twin hashtags on Instagram and finding real people. Yeah. Because Google, as you would know, as someone who's went through a twin pregnancy and a twin delivery, Google's a very scary place and like a black hole of all of the worst case scenarios. And that was like a bad headspace for me. So anytime I did Google, because I would follow it up. Honestly, this was literally what I did. I would follow it up by finding a twin mom and literally just looking at sweet pictures of her twins together, or to try to bring the positivity and the miracle part back to it, because that was my original feeling, was this is a miracle, right? And it is. And I think I just needed to constantly remind myself of the miracle part. And real twin moms were the only reason that I was able to constantly like bring that positivity back. So the social media thing was so important.
Oh, that's
for the
so
journey.
Great. Oh, Katie, that's so sweet. And I everybody, sometimes people really doubt if that, like, are they doing the right thing by putting their kids up on social media and they don't have their permission. That becomes that whole thing. But then you see that there really is a positive side by learning about other people's adventures and journeys, and that it's not so perfect. And it really is. There's definitely a positive side. I know we did one podcast episode that was all called like The Internet Didn't Prepare Me for the Real Twin World. And I think also, Katie, you were specifically looking for positivity. I feel like if you're looking for something, you're going to find it, right? So if you're going to go down a rabbit hole of negativity and sadness and prematurity and whatever, and that ends up being your algorithm, you're going to be stuck there. And you may actually have a different perspective on what the twin world is based on whatever the platform is that they've determined what you want to see.
Very true. I didn't even think of it that way. And that is the way it works.
Yeah. it's sad. Like I wish that there was a better way that we could kind of organize, like this is a positive post or this is going to be a triggering post or whatever it is. But at this time, even, and who knows if there'll ever be, because then there's going to be like censorship and then that'll be a whole thing. But I do like when you go looking for stuff, you can find it. And on any platform that you choose, it's going to look at what else you were looking at to make recommendations for you to look at more stuff.
So true.
So, and that's how I found you, because that's what I go look for. I actually go look for the positivity, and I look for the motivation and the encouragement and people who can make a positive impact by just being like, this is me. Enjoy it. Take me for who I am. And it really was like one of the posts that captivated me the most was the one that you said, like, I'm going to answer questions. And today is going to be, what are you going to do when both twins are running in opposite directions? And simply you're like, I'm going to get the one that's closest to death, like point blank. Like, what else are you supposed to do? That's what we have to do.
Like, boil it down. And that's really what it is. Like, in that moment in your mind, you're not like, that's it. Who's closer to death? Because they can both be close to getting hurt. Yeah. That happens a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Who's going to get hurt worse?
So now I know that one thing that your big platform is that you're very into like health and positivity and staying fit in whatever you see your fit is, and you could get there. So if you want to get someplace, you could get from A to B. It's just going to take work. And people are always surprised by that. And they're like, oh, it was easy. It's not easy for everybody, right? Yeah. But you really put the work into it, and you created a great like physicality for yourself, but for a reason that makes you feel better. And this is
exactly.
Sometimes, truthfully, Katie, like you'll see people who are like, oh my God, I'm like an Instagram fit mom. And you're like, I want to punch you in the throat, right? Like, you are annoying. You are really not annoying. And I have to I really love that about you. And I love that you're like, we're going to do this. Like, watch my journey, enjoy it with me. We're going to get there together. Look at my giant belly and my uterus, watch it shrink. Like, you're like, good, bad, and ugly. It's out there. And I really, really love that about you. And I'm thankful that you're brave enough to do that, because a lot of people who would be in your arena of like, I'm going to be in fitness and health, they're not going to put that up. They're only going to want to have kind of the best foot forward and the brightest shining face and put on kind of their like show worthy body. You're like, this is what's happening. I'm really cleaning my toilet right now, and the kids are really watching TV, and I'm going to get shit done. I love
and
that.
People love watching it.
Yeah.
And that isn't how funny is that? I have always participated in social media, always. And like, ever since having the kids, I just thought, you know what? I knew when I was pregnant and how much I counted on the social media world to get me through and prepare me. And the amount of women that I reached out to and asked questions or, commented on a post that I wasn't sure about or whatever. And I knew, I was like, I'm going to be that for somebody. Like, I'm going to do that. And the one thing, and I will say, that's why I do talk about the fitness journey like quite a bit. I try not to hammer it too hard, and it's a very sensitive subject. And so I try not to make it too much about like, oh, look at me, I'm so amazing. But I do want people to know that it's possible. And because I think I struggled with, this is the end. My entire pregnancy, I felt, and you can ask my partner, like, I really was like trying to mentally prepare him that my body would be broken and I will never get it back together. And I would never probably feel like, for me, I really felt, okay, well then I peaked that before the pregnancy. I'll never probably like love my body as much as I do now. That's okay. But I really gave up on the idea that I could ever feel like in shape or fit again. I really thought that. And so I want to be like, you know what? Like, I gained a crazy amount of weight. I had a 5 to 6 finger abdominal separation that I had to heal. Like, I went to full term with 2 babies and like, here I am. Like, I gave myself a chance, and my partner kept pushing me like, you can't have that mindset. You can't have that mindset. It's going to be, you're going to find a new way to figure it out. Like, you just have to like believe. And so I do want to share it also, because I want people to know that it is possible, and don't just give up on the idea. And then once you've given up on the possibility, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep. That's
you're
true.
not ever, right? So I do like to share that this is possible. Like, so that's kind of the motivation there for that, because I like to see twin moms like, oh my God, look at her. She looks normal. Her abdominal separation looks like it's healed, like things like that. So I like to see those possibilities.
Do you have to deal with haters because of that? Do you have like people who are like, oh, you know what, you look away so you can't be real?
So I remember I made a post once, and I remember making the content and saying to myself, I know this is going to go 50-50. And it was a post I made where I had gone on my first like beach vacation. And it was the first time I felt like confident in a bathing suit. And I probably had, like I said, at one point I had given up on that ever happening again. So it was a kind of a big deal. But I was showing a little bit of the, you know what it's like when you're standing, your stomach looks, but as soon as you move in any direction, your skin will never be the same. And so I was kind of showing, like, while I was on the vacation, I was living in it a little bit. I was like, yes, I look great. I feel good. And I was showing like great videos and whatever. And then I wanted to show the cuts, right? Like the stuff I cut out while I was on vacation. I wanted to be like, these are the moments I cut out while I was bending down to press play or whatever. And I knew it was going to go 50-50 because I knew a lot of people were going to be like, are you complaining? Like, you look great even when you're bent over. I knew there was going to be a lot of that. And people were going to be very annoyed of me for posting it, but it was me. It was my bad angle. And I know I wasn't trying to rub it in anyone's face like, oh, my bad angle is still great. It really was to say, like, not everybody's perfect, you know? But with every post, there comes the negative side. So I try not to take it too personally. And with that one, I knew, and the body thing is sensitive. And I know every time I post about that, it's going to either inspire or trigger. I know that. And so it's a bit tricky, and I don't want to trigger anyone, but I do want to inspire people also. And I do think it makes a difference seeing that it's possible. So I think it's important that people don't give up on their personal. It's also about just doing something for you. I think as moms, we completely lose the sense of self identity. And for me, those 4 hours a week are everything. They're the only 4 hours a week that I'm not just a mom, or I shouldn't say that, but those 4 hours a week, I'm not a mom. I'm doing something for me. And like, it's a complete, you know, like, the protected hour of the day. And it's like, if anything, that's what I want people to focus on. That's so important to me. And I feel for some others as well.
Well, I think it is. I think it is important, and it's very healthy. Like, honestly, Katie, that's a great thing to teach your kids, that it's okay. You're not being selfish. You're being a human. And it's okay to still be a human. You don't have to be whatever version somebody expects you to be. So you're in a rock and a hard place. And I sitting in the chair that I do, right? Because I'm not putting like my personal story out. I'm like, this is the story of the people, and this is how we're going to grow as a team. So I'm not saying that I'm not as brave as you, but I think you're doing something that's very brave. And what's really irritates me sometimes is that once upon a time we were posting like great posts like yours. We were like sharing them and be like, oh my God, look at these people, look at them. And people would like rip us to shreds. Like, how could you post that? Why are you doing that? And we're like, why can't you just celebrate somebody else's happiness? Like, why do you have to crap all over something? You don't agree with it, scroll on by. It's cool. Nobody's ever going to please anybody 100% of the time. And it's tough. And as a mom, because you're doing so much good stuff and you're like, this is real, and you're validating people's feelings and the things that they do in their own home, you're doing them like everybody else does. But because you look away, people are going to say, oh, this isn't true. She probably has, 15 nannies and she's working out 11 hours a day. I could imagine because there's always going to be people that think it's impossible. And you were like, hashtag not impossible. So here we go. This is going to be really the adventure that we go on. Okay, so now I want to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about some of the hacks that you have kind of come up with and the simple ways that you get through your day being a stay-at-home mama of these crazy little monkeys. So sit right there. We'll be right back. All right, Katie, I want to go into the hacks and I want to talk about your specific twin parenting strategy. And you're like, I'm crushing it. What are the things that you have figured out? Because how old are the kids now today?
They just turned 18 months like 3 days ago. So a year and a half, I've survived twin parenthood.
You've done it. It's under your belt. You've gotten this time. What are the big takeaways? Like if you do stop to meet that person with a double stroller and you see that she's got brand new babies, are you going, well, I hope you do say, hey, do you want an opinion on something? And then she says yes. And then you dump on everything. What are those big little hacks that you have figured out that made your life a lot easier?
For me, routine and schedule are absolutely paramount. Like that is, you need to have a foundation. And then even if your schedule is amazing, there's chaos no matter what with two babies. And so I think you have to have a foundation and then you go from there. Like I keep saying, like our bedtime became an anchor for like our day. And that was like a time of the day was always going to look the same, at least mostly. And then everything else was like a foundation that kind of worked from that anchor. And we just always had to anchor back at 7, no matter how crazy the day was, no matter how different it looked. So I think having routines and anchors are going to get you through those nights that look like days and days that look like nights. And because it can get really chaotic, especially in those first like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I would say a new twin mom, figure out what your routine is, figure out what works for you, have your anchors and just work from there. And then even if you have a rough day, try to reset. Have that anchor. Okay, I'm resetting. It's a new day, new 24-hour cycle. Try to wash away.
You have no choice, right? Because you have to, we say at Twiniversity a lot, like every time the sun rises, it's a new opportunity. So it's very important to make sure that if you didn't have the best possibility of something one day, you could totally have it the next day, no matter what exactly happens. So you have to keep trying until you figure it out, right? Because like you and every other parent, it's the babies aren't born and then you're like, oh yes, this is the schedule. This is what we do. Because no matter, even here at Twiniversity, we have tons of schedules but they're just recommendations. We can't tell you what's going to actually work in your environment for your kids with your family. It's impossible. You have to really figure out what that routine looks like for you. So besides routine, what are some of the other things that you would encourage a new twin parent to kind of adopt into their parenting universe?
I would say, and again, controversial maybe, but really try to bring your partner in, whoever your partner is. Maybe you don't have one, maybe you have a parent. Have a second set of hands that's majorly involved. Be like teamwork with twins is everything. So try to be very supportive of one another and what their role could be. That's how you're going to survive, is by having those extra hands, and also just like somebody who is like in the gutter with you, like in the trenches, they know what you're going through. Having a person with you and a teammate is super important. And as moms, especially breastfeeding moms, I think sometimes our partners struggle to understand their role at first. And then it can very quickly become, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to help. So I'm going to shut down. And that can very quickly turn into, you're not helping, so I'm going to resent you and be mad at you. And then all of a sudden there's a divide, and it can turn into like a really bad cycle. So I think like being a team at the beginning is super important, and everyone understanding their role, communicating about it is really important. Don't just expect that dad's going to know what to do, because you don't even know what you're doing, and you're trying to figure it out together. So I think communicating is super important. If something your partner could do for you would really help you, say it. ask for it. Don't be scared. With twin parenting, you need as much support as you can get. I used to say this all the time. Extra hands. Like if only I had 6 or 8 hands. Like extra hands are everything. Accept help, accept visitors, but on your terms. Accept visitors on your terms. If they're visiting, you can quite clearly say to them, that's amazing. I would love for you to come over. Is there any way that you can do A, B, and C for me? And I think that's important to know as well. Communicating, asking for what you need. Because if you can figure that out early, it's going to change your experience.
Now, I know that you get crapped upon quite often about your sleep preferences. So when it comes to twins and sleep, and oh my God, Katie, can I tell you something? I really just want to talk about this for 700 hours. And I know that we could do 11 podcasts on this topic alone, but it's really interesting the turn the world has taken when it comes to twins and sleep. So your twinnies, tell us a little bit about your journey of having your kids sleep and what kind of reaction you've gotten to that.
I think the first thing that I would want to say is that everything I did with my twin sleep was a very thought out decision. It was not, and there was a 0% carelessness in the situation. I researched twin sleep more than probably anything else, maybe breastfeeding, but I really wanted to support them sleeping together if I could. And so I did my research. And by research, I mean, yes, of course, I read the guides, I read the guidelines, the safe sleeping practices, but I also did practical research where I actually spoke to as many twin parents as I could and spoke to real people who lived it and said, how did you do it? What did you think worked for you? And I would say there was a resounding consensus that our twins slept together as newborns. And so and that's what felt right to me, even in pregnant. So I knew, okay, I'm going to do this. How can I do this as safe as possible? Because I'm going to do this not because it's cute for photos. I'm going to do this because I think that there's benefits to this. And I want them to have that. They're going to be born early. They're going to be very small. They're going to probably be struggling at first. And I want them to have each other. That was so important to me. So I just wanted to make that clear, is that these decisions were decisions. They weren't just, oh, this is cute. This is fun. I have twins. They sleep together. It was very thought out sleeping positions and things like that. So I think that's a misconception online, is that twin parents don't put thought into it. And it's we put more thought into it than probably anybody does. Right?
Yes.
Because we have to figure this out. We have to do what's best for them. We have to keep them safe, but we also have to be practical, and we're losing the practicality aspect of it. Right. So that's the first thing. And then when I was pregnant, that's exactly what I did. I spoke to as many twin parents as I could, real people that I was connecting with. I had them send me photos, because not everyone shares their life online like I do.
True.
Not everyone's making a video to show you. Not everyone's doing a tutorial. So, I'd be like, what did you do? And I'd have them take a picture of a bed and draw on it and show me truthfully how they did it. Because I think that's super important, is that not everyone is admitting these things because of all the hate you'll get.
Yep.
So I thought it was important to just ask privately. And then I got a ton of information from people. That on top of, so I knew I wanted them to be together. So then I cut to delivering them. They were born 3 weeks early, like most twins are, but they made it to full-term twin pregnancy, but they were born at 37 weeks via planned C-section. So they weren't ready to come out. We told them it's time to come out. And that's a huge factor, right? They were put directly into incubators separately. So they spent the first 3 days of their lives alone, some skin on skin, but we would have some bonding time with them and trying to learn how to feed. But mostly they went from this, this safe space together with that, 2 heartbeats, mine and mine and their brothers. And then all of a sudden they're alone in incubators. Like, that's very distressful. I don't care what any practical sleep guide says.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as, I kid you not, we had them in separate bassinets that first night that we had them out of the incubators, and they could stay with us overnight. So they were in separate little cots, and they were very unsettled. I was feeling very anxious. They were feeling anxious. It was quite intense. We were so happy to have them with us, but it was quite intense. And I just thought, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put them next to each other. And so I did it with the help of a nurse and a midwife. And we did it together. She showed me how to do it safely so they wouldn't move, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not kidding you. They immediately, like, it was like, I cried tears. I'll cry right now thinking about it. I'll never forget that moment. It was like a puzzle piece. It was like, and like, just the energy in the room changed. It was like their soul came back together. Yeah. It was like watching I couldn't believe it. And I thought, I have to support this. I have to support them being together. Yeah. Because that's what they want and need. Like, you could physically see it in front of you. And so until you experience that, I don't think you can understand how important it is for us to figure out how to do it and as safe as we can. So that's kind of where I came on the journey.
I am thrilled that you are like out of the closet with it, because it's honestly, Katie, it is a point in my life that frustrates me more than anything. I'm frustrated right now because you feel like you have to apologize for a decision that you made for your family. Yeah. You didn't, there wasn't, they weren't ever in danger. And it's so interesting because there really isn't enough research that shows that this is a bad thing. And there actually is quite a bit of research that shows it's a good thing. But all the studies that are done in a NICU, in a controlled environment. There's no studies done with kids at home. So this is like a topic that I always think, like, what do I do? Do I tell people to put their kids together? Because I too, Katie, like, I'm going to tell you, my kids slept together and my kids were better for it. But it started in the NICU when they put them together. So when our NICU experience, they put our twinnies together, and I literally could watch their heart rates sink and their respiration sink. And this was 17 years ago, right? So I knew
literally watch it on the screen.
Literally. I literally watched it like an episode of a reality show. I got to see it. And then our American Academy of Pediatrics was like, absolutely not. And I could go into this, but I say for anybody listening to this, and Katie, you should say the same for those of you, because your country, Australia, actually cites our research, but they should have actually went to read our research, because not one of the studies is done on twins. It's all done by siblings. Yeah. And I even reached out to the media people
siblings.
It's all done on siblings. So they decided to make a generalized rule for twins, because twins are siblings. So instead of doing extra homework to find out that we are an exclusive community, they literally were just like, we're going to just throw everybody into this pile because they're siblings. So I, like you, feel very passionate about making sure that I did what was right for my family. But it's a shame because you're coming out there and you're like, listen to me, I hate to break it to you, over 65% of twin families co-crib their twins. You're not co-bedding. We're not having a family bed. It's like your kids are together.
Yes.
They smell each other. Yes.
Controlled environment.
Yes. And then I also think, Katie, why it shouldn't be an issue, because, there's families that can't afford 2 cribs or don't have the floor space for 2 cribs. And if you look historically at what we did as a society of twin parents, because we know we talk to each other, the great majority of us do, but we all feel like it's got to be underground because we have these governmental regulations that are telling us we can't. So I'm on your side, girl. I'm happy that you did what was best for your family. I can't tell anybody what to do. And right, I always say we have to make the decision of what's best for us, regardless. What your instincts tell you is it's going to lead you in the right direction. And it's not only with sleep, Katie, like, honestly, you're a really good mom, and you're like, the instincts that you have and the things that you do with your kids are very instinctual to you, and you follow those, and you're not afraid to do them because people online said, oh, you shouldn't do this, or, oh, that's not the way it's supposed to be. it's a really brave thing that you're doing. And I was like, oh my God, I love her. I love her so much. I want to be her best friend. I want to get to know her, because not everybody does that. They're not going to say this is reality. And I know that social media, but like social media is supposed to be reality, but so many people censor and filter what they're actually doing, and you're out there. So honestly, Katie, I'm very happy that you spent some time with us today, and I'm glad that we had this moment, and I appreciate that you got up so early, and that's what happens when we live on different sides of the world. But I'm very proud of you. Just like, honestly, as like an older twin mom to a younger twin mom, you're doing a really good job. And if you want to fly that flag, you're doing it well. So I'm really thankful that you continue doing what you're doing, and I'm excited to see the boys grow. So Katie, thank you so much for playing with us today.
Thank you for having me. That was such a fun combo, and I look forward to chatting to you again.
You got it. All right, Katie, you sit right there. And the rest of the world, don't forget, you do not have to miss Katie any longer. Just go to When Katie Met Harry. That is her TikTok. And then you'll link to everything else. But go just see what I'm talking about and see who Katie is and understand why we fell in love with her. And you are too. So take a look at that. And if you need anything from us here at Twiniversity, we're just at Twiniversity on every social platform, blah, blah, blah. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, guys, we'll see you later, alligators.